The night was colder than usual, a sharp winter wind cutting through the streets of Los Angeles. Under the dim glow of flickering streetlights, a row of makeshift tents lined the sidewalk, home to those who had nowhere else to go. The holiday season had arrived, filling the city with dazzling lights and festive cheer. But for the people in this shelter, Christmas was just another reminder of everything they had lost. Inside the St. Anthony homeless shelter, a small group of volunteers moved quickly, preparing warm meals and stacking blankets. The atmosphere was heavy yet hopeful. Everyone knew that on Christmas Eve, miracles sometimes happened, but no one could have predicted what was about to unfold. A few days before Christmas, an anonymous package had arrived at the shelter. It was large, carefully wrapped, and had no sender's name. At first, the staff thought it was just another generous holiday donation. But when Sister Maria, the kind-hearted woman who had been running the shelter for over a decade, opened the package, she gasped. Inside was something that would change their lives forever. What was inside the mysterious package? And how did one of the world's most influential and controversial figures, Elon Musk, get involved? Stay with us as we uncover the incredible story behind this secret Christmas gift. One that would soon capture the attention of millions and go viral across the internet. Sister Maria's hands trembled as she pulled back the last layer of wrapping. The volunteers around her leaned in, their breath held in anticipation. Inside the package, neatly packed in an unmarked wooden box, was something none of them had expected. A stack of envelopes, each sealed with a simple red wax stamp. There was no letter, no explanation, just the envelopes and a small metal plaque at the bottom of the box that read, "For those who need hope this Christmas." Confusion filled the room. Some of the volunteers exchanged glances, whispering theories. Was this a prank? A mistake? But as Sister Maria carefully picked up one of the envelopes and opened it, her breath caught in her throat. Inside was a check, written for an amount so large that it made her heart race. She quickly opened another and another. Each one contained a check, all with different amounts, but all incredibly generous. Together, they added up to a sum that could change everything for the shelter. By now, a small crowd of residents had gathered, sensing that something extraordinary was happening. Among them was James, a quiet man in his late 50s, who had been staying at the shelter for over a year after losing his job. He had seen plenty of donations come through, but nothing like this. Who sent this? He finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. That was the question on everyone's mind. Sister Maria's eyes scanned the box again, looking for any clue. That's when she noticed something she had missed earlier. A small white envelope tucked in the corner. Unlike the others, this one had no check inside. Just a short handwritten note. "Merry Christmas. Use this to bring light where it's needed. E.M." The room fell silent. Everyone seemed to recognize the initials at the same time. E.M. There was only one person who fit that description. Elon Musk. The realization sent a wave of disbelief through the shelter. Why would one of the richest men in the world send such a personal and anonymous gift to a small homeless shelter? And why in this way? Without publicity, without cameras, without any expectation of recognition. Sister Maria sat down slowly, pressing the letter to her chest. She had always believed in miracles, but this felt surreal. Some of the younger volunteers immediately reached for their phones, searching for any news about Musk making such a donation, but there was nothing. No headlines, no social media posts, no statements from Tesla or SpaceX. If this truly came from him, he hadn't told a soul. But while the volunteers speculated, James had a different reaction. His fingers clenched into fists as an old bitterness rose inside him. He had once worked for a company that contracted with Tesla back when his life was stable. He had been laid off due to budget cuts, and after a series of personal losses, he had ended up here. To him, billionaires like Musk were part of the system that left people like him behind. And now, this? A grand gesture from a man who had the power to change lives with the snap of his fingers. Money doesn't fix everything, James muttered, under his breath, standing up and walking out of the room. Sister Maria noticed, but didn't stop him. She knew that for some, generosity was complicated. Meanwhile, outside the shelter, something strange was happening. A black car had been parked across the street for nearly an hour, its windows tinted. No one had noticed it at first, but as the excitement inside the shelter grew, so did curiosity about the vehicle. Was it just a coincidence, or was someone watching? Inside the car, a man in a crisp suit was speaking quietly into an earpiece. "Yes, they've opened it," he said. A pause, then a nod. Understood. Back at the shelter, the energy was electric. The volunteers were already discussing what the donation could mean: fixing the heating, expanding the kitchen, creating programs to help people get back on their feet. But the real question remained: why had Elon Musk chosen them? And even more importantly, what was going to happen next? The shelter buzzed with excitement, but outside, the black car remained, its presence nagging at the back of Sister Maria's mind. She wasn't one to entertain conspiracy theories, but something about it felt off. She stepped outside, pulling her coat tighter against the cold. The moment she did, the car's engine hummed to life. Her heart skipped a beat as the back window rolled down just an inch, just enough for her to catch a glimpse of a sharp blue eye. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the car pulled away, disappearing into the night. Inside, the conversations continued. Volunteers debated how best to use the money, while residents whispered about the mystery behind it. Some believed Elon Musk had been personally watching over the shelter. Others thought it was just a coincidence. But James, he wasn't celebrating. He sat alone in the corner, staring at the note. The initials, EM, kept circling in his mind. Something about it didn't sit right. He knew how billionaires worked. Everything was calculated. Every move was planned for maximum impact. But if Musk wanted publicity, he would have made this donation public. Instead, it had arrived in silence, with no expectation of recognition. That wasn't how things were supposed to work. Frustrated, James stood up and walked out. The cold air bit at his skin, but he barely felt it. He needed answers. His gut told him that whoever was in that car had something to do with this. But as he reached the sidewalk, there was nothing but an empty street. The next morning, the story broke. Someone, no one knew who, had leaked the shelter's incredible Christmas surprise online. At first, it was just a few posts on social media. Then, a local news station picked it up. Within hours, it had gone viral. Elon Musk's secret Christmas gift stuns homeless shelter. Anonymous $1 million donation linked to billionaire. Reporters swarmed the shelter, cameras flashing as they asked question after question. Did Musk personally visit? Did he say why he chose this shelter? What will the money be used for? Sister Maria, overwhelmed but composed, gave the same answer to everyone. We are grateful for this blessing, whoever it came from. She never confirmed Musk's involvement, nor did she deny it. Then, something unexpected happened. A tweet? Elon Musk. Giving should be about impact, not attention. Merry Christmas. The internet exploded. Was that a confirmation? A denial? No one could say for sure. But one thing was clear. The world was watching as the shelter began making plans for renovations and new programs. Something changed in James. He had spent years blaming men like Musk for his downfall. But now, faced with undeniable generosity, he felt conflicted. Maybe the world wasn't so black and white. Maybe real change could come from the most unexpected places. On Christmas Eve, as the last of the reporters left and the shelter settled into quiet, James found himself staring at the box once more. There was something deeply personal about the way the gift had been given, almost as if the person behind it had once known what it meant to struggle. Whoever it was, they hadn't just given money, they had given hope, and for the first time in a long time, James allowed himself to believe. In it, the car was gone, the mystery remained, but the impact, that would last far beyond one Christmas night.